Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have another review slash recommendation for you. I just read The Fall of Troy by Quintus of Smyrna, a relatively more obscure book than a lot of the other Trojan epics. Obviously the Iliad and the Odyssey are super famous, and then you have the Aeneid by Virgil, but there are many more epics within the kind of narrative framework of the Trojan War, because there's a lot that goes on. Quintus of Smyrna was a late 3rd century poet who we honestly don't know much about, other than that he authored this book, and that he may have been a sheep farmer or taught sheep farmers or something like that. There's very little of the way of biographical information about this author. The narrative picks up where the Iliad leaves off. It recounts many of the more major events that conclude the war, how champions come from seemingly all over the world to help the Trojans. Amazons come, African warriors come, the grandson of Heracles comes to help the Trojans. And it also recounts many of the major deaths. Achilles dies, Ajax dies, and it leaves off with the building of the Trojan horse, the kind of its implementation, the fall of the city, as well as the journey home for many of the heroes, of which many of them faced more dangers after the war ended. Unlike the Iliad and the Odyssey, which, while they are epic, they also tell more contained stories about individual characters and individual events, especially in the case of the Iliad, which is very slice of life in how the events unfold. The fall of Troy is much more of a highlight reel of the final weeks of the war. You have major battles and major developments in the war seemingly happening every single book within the poem, and it makes for a much more interesting and unique kind of presentation if you would compare it to the other epics again, Odyssey, Iliad, Aeneid. And I think that for a lot of people that might actually make it more of an enjoyable read. You know, I think a lot of people when they read the Iliad, as good as I think it is, and as good as a lot of people think it is, I can see how someone may be bored or may kind of lose their interest in the narrative because it is a very long book that tells ultimately just a single story, or I shouldn't say a single story, but a single kind of, it tells the story of one event, and it takes a while to get there, and there's a lot of I don't even want to say deliberation because it is a very action-packed story, but I think that for such a long book, I think a lot of people lose interest because of how almost meandering it is, whereas this is nothing but highlights. You know, now that is not to say that this book is better than the Iliad or the Odyssey. It is not. There is some imitation at play, granted not as much as in the Aeneid. The Aeneid is kind of excessive when it comes to its imitation of the plot elements and kind of you know, events that take place in the previous epics, but this is it's just different. With that being said, I would definitely recommend The Fall of Troy. I can't say it's an important read. It's not as influential as the Iliad or Odyssey, and you're not going to see it on a lot of college reading lists, but it's a very enjoyable read. The events that take place, the same events that took place in the original story, are very interesting. There's a lot of good action, a lot of good mythological nuggets that I think fans, if you can call them fans, but like enjoyers and readers of Greek mythology will enjoy. And like I said, it's a highlight reel. It's like watching a good highlight reel of the larger conflict. The writing is very good. even if it's not often portrayed in an accessible way. What I mean by that is the particular translation I have um, is very weird. It goes for a lot of archaisms and archaic words and ways to phrase certain events, and the sentence structure is very weird. I would definitely recommend you get a more accessible, maybe a modern translation than the one that I got. So do kind of scope that out before you decide to buy or get or check out this book if your library happens to have it. But that's something that you could kind of apply to any old book. There are definitely some very inaccessible kind of, I don't want to say inaccessible, but kind of hard to read translations of the Iliad and the Odyssey. So yeah, look out for that. But other than that, I would recommend it. If you want to learn more about the Trojan War, this is definitely a good place to kind of fill in those gaps that you might have. And yeah, other than that, it's a very simple recommendation. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I will see you guys for the next review, whenever that will take place. I don't always read these kind of obscure classical literature things, which is what I want the focus of the channel to be. So that's kind of why this video is coming out months and months after my previous one. But I uh, don't really have a schedule, an upload schedule, because it kind of it just depends. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, week, month, however long it will be, and don't forget, if you want to see some more recommendations, subscribing is a good idea because I like to think that I am a good recommender. I don't know. See ya.